All right, Ralph, you've been around the NFL business, the sports business for many a year.
Thanks for
Just,
thanks for reminding me of that.
just in generalities, how bizarre is just this last couple years, knowing the Steeler history and just what has transpired the last 2 years with these star players? Is it shocked you as far as, not from the Steelers' perspective, from the way these athletes have handled their situation?
Disappointed me. The conduct's off the wall. I think it all could have been handled better all around, and particularly with the players. I mean, these guys are men. You know, you come into the NFL, you should know better by the time you get here, not to conduct yourself in that type of manner.
Let's start with Antonio Brown first.
Sure.
I'm not going to get into any personal. I'm just going to do business with him. When this first happened, he alluded to, there was no reason given for what was going on with him, and then it came out he had a problem with Ben, a fight in the locker room. Then it came out that he didn't like the Steelers as though they favored Ben. And then in his last tweet, or his last video, he threw out, anyone that wants me guaranteed money. You've been around athletes. What do you believe his source of all this has been?
I think wanting to be a me guy, being a me guy, but certainly it's money too. I mean, he wants a new contract, and Ben's the leader on the team. He's a quarterback, and the quarterbacks always hold that position. It's not that they should be out there demeaning guys or in any way taking shots at them, and I don't think Ben, from anything I saw, had done that. But I'm sure Ben can be a little bit contrary too. I mean, he's been a star in the NFL and in won Super Bowls or a Super Bowl, and so. I think it's a combination of things, but a player has to understand what his role is on the team. Even if he's a star, there are times that you speak up for the benefit of the team, to the team, and there's times you keep your mouth shut. This was a time he just should have kept his mouth shut.
Is he playing for... he gets all the attention in the world here. He's with one of the most marketable franchises, sports franchises in the country. He's with a Hall of Fame quarterback. The Steelers have won, maybe not to the level that people expected, but it's still, I still don't understand where he's going. Does he want a new contract? Does he want out? I don't get what his end game is.
I think it's all of it, but he needs to experience another place. If he's fortunate, he'll go with a winning organization. If not, he'll see what it's like to be on a losing team, what goes on in the locker room, how difficult it is to play on those teams. I know I played on those teams, but we still didn't have guys who conduct themselves in that manner, and I think it's frustrating to the legitimate leaders on the team to have to put up with that type of conduct.
Let's come in from the agent perspective here. Drew Rosenhaus, he's had his share of characters as far as guys he's represented. If you saw this from the beginning, are you surprised that Rosenhaus, he's kind of been silent in this whole thing? What would you have done as far? I don't know that you've ever let him get to this point, but from an agent's perspective, are you just cringing? Like, isn't he hurting his market value, or do you believe that a team is going to look past this because of his talent?
No, he's killing himself on market value. And with the agent, there's only so much you can do as an agent. But this guy, Rosenhaus, is a guy who attracts that type of individual. I mean, he's out there. And have I ever had anyone like that? No. Anyone close to being like that? No, never. And certainly if I did, it would only be a guy on the rebound. That was the only time. A rebound meaning that he was with an agent, terminated that agent, and then came to me. In those circumstances, I could have had maybe a guy that would have gone a little bit outside of the lines, but I never did. The reason is when you sit down in front of a athlete, usually you're doing it with his counselors or advisors or family members, parents, and you're representing to them what you're going to do on behalf of the player and how you're going to be able to guide him and lead him into the right decisions, do the right things to help make his career the best career possible. you establish a bond there. I would have never gotten past the first step with this guy. Now, I don't know who his advisors were, or even if he had any. And he wasn't a high draft choice, and he wasn't from a prima donna school. And that's the thing that is and I say prima donna school, a highly visible school. Right. What, Central Michigan was it? Yes. Fifth round draft choice. You have to go a long way to not remember where you came from and what it was like to sit there on draft day and see all these guys taken in front of you and know in your heart that you're better, and he certainly was better, is better, and see those guys go before you. There has to be a reason why.
It seems as though I don't think it's a reach to say that maybe the star status and the money affected who originally came to the Steelers organization, because before he signed the contract, there was no indication or inkling that this could be, because I doubt that the Rooneys would have invested the type of money in him if they knew this was coming.
No, I don't think there's any chance. Sometimes you can see it through other conduct. Coaches have an input as to that also, and bottom line is he is a phenomenal athlete. He's a superstar. There's no doubt about it. But superstars don't always get you to the Super Bowl or to the place that you want to go as a team. A lot of times it's those guys just working together. If you look to, as an example, don't want to too much, but the New England Patriots. I played for the Patriots, and we didn't have that type of team then. But there aren't any guys, maybe other than Brady, who are of that ilk, of that same class. It's a team concept, and I think it's tough when you have a guy that comes in and operates that way. There also may be other things going on with him. Certainly, when I've seen interviews of him, I've said to myself, this guy is not clear-minded. I don't know what he's doing off the field or what type of habits that he has, but something that he's doing doesn't jive with that of a guy who is an elite athlete playing for one of the most visible or the most visible organization in the NFL, and that's the Steelers. The Steelers' memorabilia outsells all the others by a margin, and I think you can go somewhere. Go to Cincinnati, and I don't want to take too many shots here, but go to some of these other teams and see what it's like. You just aren't going to have the same type of recognition, the same type of fame that you have as you do with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now let's jump over to Le'Veon Bell. Steelers gave him his wish, and he's going to be a free agent here on March 15th or whatever free agency starts. Report came out yesterday that two reports came out. One that he's looking to get $50 million guaranteed in his first 2 years. Another report from the Jet came out of New York today saying that people within the Jets organization might be are worried about investing in him. That he might be out of shape. He hadn't played football in a year.
Right.
Just respond to those. Is $50 million a pipe dream? And if you're an agent, how are you selling him taking off of a year? How would you try to turn that into a positive as far as teams go?
Well, you can tell by his conduct that he's not the type of guy. He's not an Antonio Brown in the sense, excuse me, of being able to work out, be in shape, be at the top of his game. I don't think there's any question about that. Reports about him being overweight, I don't know. I didn't see, but from what I heard previously, I think those are all legitimate. Plus, I don't think there's any question that the guy has some off the field conduct, maybe some habits that aren't going to go well in the NFL. And with all these guys, both of these guys, one of the things they're going to have to do is pee in a bottle. They're going to be tested for drugs and everything else, you can get lucky with that, and sometimes you can get unlucky. But I think with Le'Veon Bell, one of the things that you want to do, I think, right at the beginning, is see what kind of condition he's in, and you can lose the weight quickly, you can bust your hump to get into shape, but in my mind, just from what I knew of the guy previously, I have little doubt in my mind they let himself go in the offseason. Unlike an Antonio Brown, who I think could go through a whole season and not play and come back in tip-top shape.
Anyway, he's going to get the money he's looking for. I've seen agents on Twitter talking about, just mentioning that, you know, he could say he's free, but he's never going to make that $14.5 million back. Was that?
I don't know how you make it back. I mean, you know, an agent out there or his agent will spin it to make it sound like it. It puts some fluff dollars in there, maybe deferred dollars, although you can't do a lot of that anymore, but do what he can do to make it sound that way, and he will. But no, those are real hardcore dollars that you're missing out on. You know, it's not like missing a season with an injury where you're getting paid. I mean, here you're not getting paid anything, and you know, you look at the guys and you look at where they live, how they dress, the cars they drive. They live a lavish lifestyles. They can't be away from the game that long.
Just last thing here is, in a weird way, is this a chance for the Steelers organization to? A lot of people have felt that one of the reasons they've quote underachieved the last few years is because of too many egos and people worrying about other things aside from winning. In a weird way, losing these two guys is this a fresh start for Mike Tomlin and the Steelers organization to try to regain?
Yeah, to cut you off there, I don't think there's any question. I mean, I can't wait to answer that. I mean, I think you want to start new, and you may not get the same type of talent as those guys, but you get guys who are up in there and who play the team concept and are team leaders in the locker room. And if they're not the veteran type guys, they're guys who follow the leaders in the locker room who all have the same goal in mind, and that's to bring back the Lombardi.
Last thing, I lied. One more thing to you.
Misrepresenting.
Don't use the word lie. How if you were representing, how much of a distraction and how much of a pain in the, just be blunt, how much of a pain in the ass is social media and Twitter today, and just all the forms of social media, as far as agents trying to keep their clients in line? Is that just a nightmare for you guys?
Yes, it's a double-edged sword because a player should be maximizing his online value while he's still playing. I mean, as great as some of the Steelers were of old, if they're coming on to social media now, they may not be the big attraction. So you want to be able to do that, but you got to be smart. And there's still the idea of being a team player, the team concept, and understanding what you can and should do and what you shouldn't do. Have someone looking over your shoulder? If you're a loose cannon, yeah. Have someone from the organization review the tweets before they go out. Now, maybe that's sounds like a communist state or a totalitarian organization, but doing what you have to do to make sure that the guys are operating within the guidelines and the rules of the organization and the team concept.